Film Australia contacted me and said, you know, would it be possible for you to make a series based on the first documentary, which was so successful? And I said, yeah, sure. So I contacted people at Yuendamu and contacted Francis and the other bush mechanics, the guys that were in the first film, and they were very keen. So we picked it up from there. Francis and I both work very much together. It's very collaborative. We go and sit in a creek bed, often under a shady tree, or go to the top of a hill and just find a bit of space and nut out a few ideas. And you know, I'd been around the bush a lot myself, and so I knew a lot of bush tricks, and I could sort of run them by Francis, and he knows every trick in the book. Okay. And then he'd come up with his own ideas, and he brings himself to it. He brings his own wacky sense of humour. He also sheds light and puts a window on that, the world of the young Walbury man in Central Australia. Between the two of us, we'd sort of come up with the ideas for the film, so just the basic thread of it and the plot, and then the guys work around that. And so there's no set dialogue, there's no script. The guys just say stuff like they might just talk about any old thing, or they'll stick to the general sort of plot of what's going on and where we're headed, you know. When it comes to making films, Francis, his real attributes when it comes to directing and working on the bush mechanics is working with the guys. And when we're out shooting, you know, he'll direct them to do certain things in Walbury because the whole thing is produced in the Walbury language. The smaller video formats like the DV cam are ideal for something like bush mechanics. We can, on the same format, we can have a large camera where we want nice, pretty pictures with lots of depth and be able to have a good lens on the camera. And then we can use a camera that's a small camera, you know, this big, and then I can race into the bush to get a car driving by, bash through scrub and leaves and bushes and mounted them on the bonnets and get inside the car. I mean, if you're standing back and the cars are zooming along there and you're 10, 20 feet away on a tripod, and if you only ever got cars going backwards and forwards, you wouldn't catch it. No, I really think those little cameras, they get you into a place that you really capture the action. And I guess in the back of my mind, as a backup, I always know that I can shoot 16mm and have to make the soundtrack later if all the video cameras break down. I did shoot a lot of 16mm. I used 16mm segments in bush mechanics for a few reasons. You can construct a little story and you can shoot it quite quickly. The camera's very small. You don't have to worry about sound because you can't record sound at the same time when you're using a Bolex because they're so noisy. So we shoot them silent, so they're not worried about any other sounds coming and going, which is a big problem when you're making film. You know, and I can also change the speed that I'm shooting it at. The Bolex has got a knob on it and you can turn the knob to, you know, 12 frames a second right up to 24. You can go right up to 64 frames a second and shoot slow-mo. But a lot of that I shot at about 16, 18 frames a second. And when you do that, it gives everything a sort of a Charlie Chaplin or a Buster Keaton style look. So we'll create these little vignettes, these little stories out of 16mm, cut them, go to a room, get all the people back that were in the shot. They're all watching a little screen, they've all got headphones on and standing next to microphones, and then they just act out the parts they're looking at. So we have the actors kind of then making the soundtrack to go with the thing that's already edited. So the whole thing becomes quite comical and quite funny. When it comes to post-production, with the Firewire technology we can use a computer and we can do all the post-production, virtually all the post-production on site in Yuendamu. And for a project like Bush Mechanics, we're making a 4-part series. While we're editing, there's gaps and holes in things, even if it's a shot of a tree or if it's a shot of people watching football or whatever it is, you know. We'll still need to go back and shoot things, and we can identify what we need in post. Everything's in Walbury, so we can get translations done on the spot. We can get more finer translations done of things that we know we're going to use. Sometimes we had 20 or so people sitting behind the editor just watching what's going on. And that also gives you instant feedback, instant audience participation by editing on site. Funnily enough, when we did the last episode, which was about rainmaking, and Jungler, who is a rainmaker, he does a rainmaking ceremony and sings the rainmaking songs. And it absolutely bucketed down, not just days and weeks, but for months. Hail, twice in 1 week, and no one had ever seen hail before. Lightning every night for weeks, incredible lightning shows every night. It was absolutely astonishing.